Welcome to the special meeting of the Cape Coral City Council. Today is September 21st, 2023. This meeting now comes to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, Your Honor. Before I call the roll, I would like to announce that Council Members Long and Welsh have asked to be excused, and I will mark them so. Mayor Gunter,
Here.
Council Members Cosden. Here. Cummings. Here. Hayden.
Here.
Shepherd.
Here.
Steinke.
Here.
6 present, 2 excused.
Thank you. Item 4 is citizens' input time, maximum of 60 minutes. Set on input of citizens on matters concerning city government, 3 minutes per individual. Please remember to state your name. We'll utilize the podium to my right, my left and your right. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward.
Well, no one else is going to talk. I'm
The other
certainly willing
podium, ma'am.
to.
Your other right. Over
Here?
there. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I am here asking about the Budget Review Committee and why it hasn't been reconvened. Now, I know Mr. Gunther does not want it. He is against it. When the entire committee resigned in protest, when Tom Shadrack was thrown out, looks to me and virtually everyone I've ever talked to as a vindictive move on your part. It appears to me the mayor does not want the scrutiny of citizens looking at the budget and what you people are spending. You're spending outrageously. And as a taxpayer, I'm just appalled, absolutely appalled. Okay, one of the issues with the BRC, these have been in the Cape Coral Breeze. In addition to a special meeting may be called by a majority vote of the members of the BRC and must be approved by City Council. Why? Why? They should be able, it's their job to look at what's going on. If they find something, they have the right to bring it forward, and not as a whole. You want everybody in the BRC to be on the same plane, and if they don't, you don't even want to deal with them. And I'm sorry, I'm not very good at this. He's a gentleman who was on the council for many, many years, had an article written about him in the Cape Coral Breeze back in May. A George Starner, basically is saying, as far as I can tell, I have served on the committee longer than any prior existing member. One of the recommendations was to promote public-private partnership for Sunsplash, adding that he agreed. He also said, if the council decides to do away with the committee, it will be a slap in the face to the volunteers instead of a thank you for their service. Sit down and shut up. We don't need or want your input, Starner said. He said the prime consideration of council when selecting members should be their financial background, including education and previous experience in budgetary environment, which many of you all don't even have. When you were elected, it was because of your popularity, not your budget experience and expertise, Steiner said. I find it curious that 2 months after the former mayor candidate became chairman of the BRC, the current mayor is proposing to eliminate the BRC. Not only are you proposing to eliminate it, you have pretty much, they resigned en masse and you have done nothing to bring it back.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak during citizens' input?
Pardon?
I asked if anybody else besides yourself was interested
And there's
in
one
speaking.
more small.
Ma'am, your time is up. Please sit down. Please sit
None of you should
down.
be looking at your phones or your laptops when
Please
there's
sit down,
citizens.
ma'am. Ma'am, if you don't
That
sit
woman-
down, I'm going to ask you to leave. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak during citizens' input? Seeing none, citizens' input's now closed. Is there any council discussion on citizens' input? Just to let you know, ma'am, last night's meeting, a majority of this council did sunset the Budget Review Board, so we'll be going in a different direction this next upcoming budget cycle. If you'd like, you could look back at the backup information from last night's meeting. You can see the direction that we're going in. Councilmember Steinke?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to make two notes. One is, I can only speak for myself. The reason why my tablet is open is I took notes on what you had to say, and I take notes on all citizens' input, and that's also where I have the agenda for our meeting. So I'm not playing games or reading emails. It's all about the meeting. And the second is that also at last night's meeting, we adopted a revised meeting schedule, if you will, for all citizens, not just 7 people, to be able to meet with all of the department heads and all of the budgetary requests and how that budget came together, so that it wasn't just 7 people that got to hear from those directors and from the city manager and from our finance director, but that all citizens would have the opportunity to come and meet with those people, review the programs, look at the dollars that had been spent and what the progress was on those dollars that had been spent, and what the ask was for the upcoming budget, so that more than 7 people would have that relationship with the people that were managing those dollars. And so that it wasn't just a removal of citizens' involvement or input. It actually was an expansion of citizens' involvement. So hopefully you'll take part in that in our next budget cycle.
Thank you. This isn't a open-ended conversation. If you'd like to reach out to your council member, whomever that may be, I'm sure they could point you in the direction that would help you in that. Okay, we'll move on to item number 5, since I don't see any other council members' lights on. Item number 5 is ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 69-23. Madam City Clerk, please read the title.
Ordinance 69-23, an ordinance to establish and levy ad valorem taxes within the corporate limits of the City of Cape Coral, Florida for the tax year 2023, providing for the levy of ad valorem taxes in the amount of 5.3694 mils based on the assessed value on non-exempt real and personal property located within the city limits of the City of Cape Coral, providing for the levy of ad valorem taxes in the amount of 0.1675 mils based on the assessed value of the appropriate real and personal property located within the city limits of the City of Cape Coral for funds for annual debt service for the City of Cape Coral, Florida General Obligation Bond, Series 2019, and the City of Cape Coral, Florida General Obligation Bonds, Series 2021. Providing for the manner of assessment and collection, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Mason.
City manager want to say anything?
Mr. City Manager, would you like to start off?
We're going to have a presentation from the finance director, Mr. Mason, to present this ordinance.
Okay, well, that was simple enough. Sorry.
Hey, it's his first day. You got to give him a break.
That was good.
Well, I think before I begin, I would like to say a huge thank you to the folks that managed this and monitored this, through the development of the process from January all the way to today. They've done a phenomenal job. The budget administrator, Nicole Reitler, and her staff have done a phenomenal job putting this together. All the department directors and their input into what went into this, and of course, the city manager and his guidance in putting this product together, and then finally with you all and your support in how we got to where we are today. So thank you. Tonight we have the purpose of the meeting tonight is the final public hearing for both the millage rates as well as the final budget. We're going to begin with the millage rate, as that is a requirement by law that we adopt the millage rates before we move on to the budget. As previously stated with you, the not-to-exceed rate of 5.3694 was established in late July and approved by the City Council. It was further noticed on the trim notices that went out in August to the owners of properties within the City of Cape Coral. And the City Council held a meeting on September 7th, which is the first public hearing on the proposed millage rate, and adopted and approved the tentative millage rate of 5.3694. The ad was posted in the newspaper on 9/17/2023, which is compliance with the trim rules, and tonight we're looking to adopt the final millage rate of 5.3694. Tentative millage rate, again, is 12.99% increase over the rollback rate of 4.7519 mils. This 5.3694 is for general operations. Debt service millage rate is 0.1675. The total general operations millage rate of 5.3694 is the same as last year. Conclusion of this hearing, you must adopt the millage rates for next year, and the final millage rates cannot exceed the tentative millage rates that were adopted on, or that were approved on September 7th. So here for any questions you have.
Thank you. I now open up the public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 69-23? Please come forward. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 69-23, setting the operating millage rate at 5.3694 mils and the millage rate of the Parks General Obligation Bond at 0.1675 mils?
Motion to adopt ordinance 69-23, setting the operating millage rate at 5.3694 mils and the millage rate of the Parks General Obligation Bond at 0.1675 mils.
Second.
Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Costin?
Aye.
Cummings?
Aye.
Gunter?
Aye.
Hayden?
Aye.
Shepherd?
Aye.
Steinke?
Aye.
6 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, move on to ordinance 70-23. Madam City Clerk, please read the title.
Ordinance 70-23, an ordinance adopting the City of Cape Coral operating budget, revenues and expenditures, and capital budget for the fiscal year 2024 for the City of Cape Coral, Florida, repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing severability and an effective date.
Mr. Mason.
Yes, sir. Final millage rate, the final budget summary is $1,095,678,548, and this was approved on September 7th, 2023. So, reminder, budget highlights included in the overall budget. Some of the items that new items that we'll be doing during the course of the next year, or starting during the course of the next year. Funding additional funds for the fire training facility, in design and engineering, looking at expansion of the emergency operations center, looking at funding the design and construction for North Cape Safety Complex. Some additional things, we have medium beautification and landscape. At the most recent CTAC meeting, we've identified Vincennes Boulevard as well as Embers, both east and west, to receive additional funding for this $1,030,000. So I wanted to make sure that that was out there. Right now, it just says to be determined. So we've identified exactly what will be done with those funds. We also have, we're going to be replacing 3 playgrounds, one at Jim Jeffers, Joe Stonis, and the Youth Center, as well as the planning and design and engineering study for Pine Island Road widening, which is the second half of the funding. We also have approximately $20 million included in the budget for Northeast 24th Avenue, moving that from a 2 lanes to 3-lane expansion. And I'm here for any questions you have, but at the same time, at the conclusion of this, we must adopt the final budget.
Thank you, sir. Now open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 70-23, please come forward. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 70-23, establishing the operating and capital budget of $1,095,678,548?
Motion to adopt ordinance 7023, establishing the operating and capital budget at $1,095,678,548.
Second.
Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Costin?
Aye.
Cummings?
Aye.
Gunter?
Aye.
Hayden?
Aye.
Shepherd?
Aye.
Steinke?
Aye.
6 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, and before I move on, Mr. Mason, Mr. City Manager, and Mr. Mason's staff, I just wanted to thank you for all your hard work. I know over the last several months to get us to where we are here today. I know there are a lot of individuals a part of that team, and I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for all your hard work and dedication over these last several months.
Thank you. We look forward to and serving for the next year and doing the same thing. Thank you.
Time and place of future meetings. We have a special meeting of the Cape Coral City Council is scheduled for Wednesday, September 27th, 2023, beginning at 9 a.m. here in council chambers. And we have a committee of the whole is scheduled for Wednesday, September 27th, 2023 at 9 a.m. here in council chambers. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.